Here's a book I read recently. Family of Liars by by E. Lockhart. By E. Lockhart. I really loved We Were Liars. That was a 5-star book. And this one is a 3-star. Unfortunately, I didn't love it as much. I think it's because of the writing. It felt like the writing is a little bit trying hard this time. We Were Liars was written very well, elegantly. So there's this thing that E. Lockhart does where she writes prose and then suddenly there's poetry. Like there's no breaks, it's just the exact flow. And when she did this on this book, it just wasn't flowing. It wasn't natural. It felt almost disruptive to the whole story. So I didn't like how this happened. Would I say that it ruined We Were Liars? Actually, no, because this is a prequel. So everything that happened here didn't really matter. There's a premise as to why the main character is telling us this story. And I don't know, it's not really that convincing. And a lot of things happened here as well that is not convincing to me. And I know this is a YA book. It's not really a proper mystery book. And you're really here just to, I mainly read it for the vibes. Okay. I really love the idea of having your own island, like staying there every summer vacation. Like, can you imagine being that rich? Let me show you a map. There it is. Well, they go here every summer. These three sisters, they just have fun. And sometimes friends come over with their cousins. That's always the theme of these books. Okay, there's a main character, and then the cousin brings like a friend, and then something happens. Basically, the story follows Carrie, and this Carrie girl, she is very envious of her sisters. I somewhat feel that. Penny is the pretty one. Bess is the smart one, and she is the eldest. And I don't know. There's just something about her not feeling like she belongs with her sisters. But she does pride herself in being the one that solves their problems or being the person that they run to when stuff goes down. So their parents are kind of strict. They're very rich, right? So they have there is this strict family code that they have to abide by, which is you should be a credit to the family, doing everything, the thing that you do in your life, every little thing, every little step that you make should be a credit to the family. And I think that kind of pressure is really hindering the growth of these girls. But, they're rich. No one can have everything. You can't be rich and not have a strict father who expects you to be essentially perfect, basically. Yeah, so the story starts with her being like overhearing this conversation with between her parents, saying that she needs to have jaw surgery, which is a little bit absurd to her because as far as she knows and feels, her way of chewing or her jaw is fine. And they're saying it's because it's for health reasons, so that your jaw will be strong or something like that. But overhearing conversation, she heard that her father said she deserves to look like a Sinclair. So now we get the impression that she doesn't look like her sisters, and maybe that's where her insecurities come from. Okay, so that's one part of the story. And another part of the story is her cousin bringing some boys over for the summer, and one of them, Fef, catches her attention because I don't know, he doesn't even seem attractive when he was being described here. But I guess it's because he gave her enough attention and then flirting with her under the moonlight and kissing her and saying that she's incredibly beautiful and impressive and smart. And this whole thing, like the sea, the moonlight, a pretty girl. I feel like I'm in a movie. That's what the guy said. And then he proceeds to kiss her, and she's happy with that. No, that is the point, or that was the time when she fell for him. But sweet dreams over when she finds out that he's like that to every girl. So he makes her feel special. And he does that to every girl. Like, I think every teenager has experienced that at one point in their life. So that I really live for that drama. And also that part where he made her. Okay, so he went there. He came to that island with the cousin. Okay. So he wasn't really supposed to be there, so he didn't have any clothes. So Carrie was like, I could take you to the mainland so you can go shopping for clothes. And he's like, okay. And then the next day, they decided to meet up at 11. And Carrie was there early. So her father always says, be early. So she has that instinct of being early. So she is. And then he's not there. And then she was like, her eyes were burning because she was crying. She left at 11:10, so that's 10 minutes beyond the arrival. I mean, their agreed time. Okay, and then she sees Fef, and then basically he apologizes. So he swims to her to the boat. So I think somewhat that made her feel like it's such a romantic gesture. So she kind of forgiven him a little bit for being late. And then when they were in the island, okay, so he was shopping, blah blah blah. And then they run into this girl, and he's like, "Oh, this is the girl I've been with during the summer. We went camping or whatever, something. They did something, some activity." And basically it feels like she was his ex-girlfriend or something. But that's not the point. The point was Fef literally said, hey Carrie, can you take my shopping bags? Here you go. And let's meet at the dock. Okay? He left her there. What? Okay, so Carrie was like obviously so offended. So she was waiting at the dock for 5 hours and she wanted to leave. But she was like saying, oh no, but it's gonna be a waste of time if someone comes back from the island to pick him up. But actually, I think she's just making excuses. She really just wants to wait for him. But yes, that is such a interesting like having to wait for a guy when you were there with him and you actually drove the boat for him so he can go shopping and then he leaves you for this girl. Like, why not just say, oh hey, this is Carrie, the girl I kissed last night or whatever, under the moonlight, blah blah blah. Yeah, so there's that essential drama that is going on that I was really living for. But then there's another bomb that her mother gave, okay? This spectacular bomb. And I think that should have taken over her life. The reason why it's actually necessary, quote unquote, why it was necessary for her to have that jaw surgery. And what's so interesting is she was shocked about it, okay, about this bomb that her mom dropped at her, but the the issue with Fef, the back and forth with him and like loving and hating him still overtook that. And that's a little bit unbelievable for me because I think the bombshell of her mom, the big revelation from her mom is more important than Fef. So there's that. Also, okay, so they have this sister who unfortunately drowned. So it's not really a spoiler because it happened like in the second page. So she died. What happens is she's the one who's openly grieving about her sister. And her other sisters and her parents are not really talking about it. They're kind of like brushing it off. Like that's the thing with their family is they are not looking at what's happening right in front of them. Yeah, so they do not talk about it, and she starts seeing the ghost of this youngest sister. And okay, here's my deal with that. Okay, there's no problem with the ghost showing up, but at the end of the day, like even at the end when it was revealed why this sister kept on coming back, like I didn't care because the things that were said about this youngest sister, the ghost, it was all in the perspective of telling me about her favorite items, like her favorite books, food, her favorite games, and all that. But I couldn't care because I think I would have appreciated it more if Carrie shared actual stories or anecdotes about her and her younger sister. Because if you I only know a person or a character based on what he or she likes and I don't have any like tangible events or ideas about this person, like I couldn't care. So there's that. Also, the reveal, the plot, the twist that was revealed, it kind of was obvious to me. And I don't know, it didn't feel right. It didn't, sometimes some books will make you feel like you know what's going to happen, and then it happens, and then you feel satisfied that you got it right. But when I got it right for this one, it felt a little bit cheap, and more of me being like, I knew it. Not like rejoicing in the fact that I guessed it, but more of disappointed that I actually did get it. What I do have to say is, if you watch like Forensic Files, or if you've read a lot of crime fiction and you know how investigations work and how it's not how hard it is to actually clean up a crime scene, if you will, then this won't be a very convincing book to you, because there are some glaringly obvious clues, okay, about this missing person, and then there's a missing weapon, and somehow the police are not putting two and two together. So these police people, they are not worth the taxpayers' money. Okay, so there's that. And lastly, this, like I said, she had jaw surgery, and then she was taking these painkillers at first, and then jaw got infected, and so she had to take more painkillers. She developed this need to take pills all the time. But okay, this is in the first person POV, and unfortunately, even if it says that she is always like not really high, what do you call that? She's under medication. It certainly does not feel like she's under medication. So I think I would have appreciated this more if the story, or if the narration of this character that we have, like, I want to feel that she is not a reliable narrator, as with anyone or any character that is, I don't know, an alcoholic, or yeah, basically someone who is always taking drugs or pills or whatever. And I did not feel that here, which brings me to the very last complaint that I have. Okay, so she tells us this story, or actually, she tells someone else this story, and we're just, casual listeners, causal listeners. And she tells the story, right? And then towards the end, she's like, okay, this is a real story. I think there was no point of not giving the true events. Like, was that to trick me? Because if it was to trick me, then I wasn't really like blown away when it was revealed that that wasn't actually what happened. I really felt like, what's the point of telling me a story? Okay, first you're gonna tell me that you're gonna tell me the story of what happened, and then you tell me a story, and then you tell me suddenly, like, oops, that's not the real story. Hmm. So I guess that's why it's family of liars, because the next generation were liars, and then they were liars as well. But yeah, that thing about telling a story and then like canceling out the reveal, and then giving a new twist, or something that really happened, is not gracefully done. Some books do this, but I guess in this kind of style, the first person POV, you can't really do that convincingly, especially if right at the beginning you're already telling me that you're going to tell me a story. Like, my point is, there was no point in lying the first time. Okay, you can just tell me what really happened. Yeah, so I think that was just there for the shock factor, but it didn't work. So, yeah. Overall thoughts about this book, I feel like it was not fleshed out. The characters were not that interesting. I mean, they feel like paper dolls. I can't express it, but they don't feel genuinely themselves. They feel like generic characters. The events that happened, yeah, like I said, there wasn't enough research that went into it regarding the mystery and the investigation. So that kind of thing, like, I think the author should have thought of a better solution to that. And the writing, like I said, was not smooth. It really felt like the author's agent called her and said, okay, Miss Lockhart, can you come up with a prequel for your book? And I expect it to be sent to me by 6 months or something. So that's how rushed it felt to me. But I really don't like it when I criticize a book for not being like, I think this had a lot of potential, and that is why I'm reacting like this, and that is why I'm disappointed, because I feel like Lockhart could have done something much more fleshed out and in depth. But what do I know? I'm just a reader. And I know how hard it is to be an author, but those are my feelings, okay? Yeah, so am I actively recommending this to people? No, I'm not. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. If you watched or if you've listened, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.